50 Cent just pressed play on Diddy's ultimate nightmare, and the fallout is officially nuclear. Just when Sean Diddy Combs thought things couldn't get any more catastrophic from inside his federal prison cell, his mother, the legendary soft-spoken yet fierce Janice Combs, has finally broken her silence. That's right, folks. For the first time since 50 Cent dropped his explosive, record-shattering Netflix docuseries, Janice has stepped into the ring to defend her son's crumbling empire. And let me tell you, she didn't just issue a statement. She launched a full-scale missile at Netflix, the producers, and Curtis 50 Cent Jackson himself. Is Janice Combs merely a fiercely loyal mother shielding her child from the ultimate media lynching? Or is she frantically scrambling to protect deep-rooted family secrets that could shatter the bad boy legacy forever? Why is Diddy's legal team in an absolute white-knuckle panic over what they call stolen behind-the-scenes footage? And more importantly, how did 50 Cent react when Janice publicly called out the documentary as a shameful, defamatory hit piece? Well, you already know Fif. He didn't back down. He pulled up on Instagram, loaded his metaphorical reality clips, and fired back with the kind of ruthless, unfiltered petty commentary that only 50 Cent can deliver. Grab your popcorn, hit that subscribe button and lock in, because the war between 50 Cent and the Combs family just reached a terrifying point of no return. Now we move directly into the first section of our deep dive. The absolute madness surrounding Sean Diddy Combs and his inner circle has reached a critical boiling point. For decades, the bad boy entertainment empire was considered completely untouchable. It was built on a foundation of absolute glamour, billions of dollars, high-fashion red carpets, and the kind of cultural influence that money simply cannot buy. Diddy sat on a throne at the top of the music industry, orchestrating the soundtrack to our lives while throwing the most exclusive, coveted parties on the planet. If you were somebody in Hollywood, you wanted to be in that room. You wanted to be seen on that balcony. You wanted to sip the expensive champagne and stand beside the man who claimed he invented the modern lifestyle of the rich and famous. But as the old saying goes, the higher you climb, the harder you fall. The glorious facade of the bad boy empire has not just cracked, it has completely imploded right before our eyes. What started as a series of shocking legal filings quickly morphed into an avalanche of federal investigations, raid operations, and viral public outrage. The world watched in sheer disbelief as federal agents swarmed Diddy's lavish mansions in Los Angeles and Miami. We saw heavy equipment, armed officers, and federal task forces seizing servers, hard drives, and physical evidence from the very spaces where the world's biggest stars once gathered to celebrate. The fall from grace was swift, brutal, and utterly unforgiving. The untouchable mogul found himself stripped of his freedom, trading his custom designer suits for a uniform inside a federal detention facility. Yet, just when the public assumed the story couldn't possibly get any darker or more complicated, 50 Cent decided to step into the picture and turn the entire situation into a global media spectacle. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson has never been one to hold back his true feelings, especially when it comes to his long-standing rivals. His feud with Diddy spans well over 2 decades, originating back in the mid-2000s when subtle disses were traded in tracks like hip-hop. Over the years, that petty rival energy evolved into a relentless, high-stakes crusade. While other industry figures stayed silent out of fear or loyalty, 50 Cent turned his public disapproval of Diddy into a full-time, highly lucrative entertainment operation. When the news of Diddy's legal troubles first broke, 50 Cent did not just post a few memes on Instagram and move on. He saw an opportunity to deliver the ultimate blow to his rival's public image. He teamed up with acclaimed director Alexandria Stapleton and brought a massive multi-part investigative project directly to Netflix. The announcement alone sent shockwaves through the entire entertainment industry. The docu-series, titled Sean Combs: The Reckoning, was pitched as a comprehensive, unfiltered look into the dark underbelly of Diddy's rise and fall. It promised never-before-seen footage, exclusive commentary from former insiders, and direct testimonies from individuals who claimed to have witnessed the madness firsthand. For months, the hip-hop community held its breath, wondering just how far 50 Cent was willing to go to expose the man he had been mocking for years. When the series finally hit the streaming platform, it did not disappoint the drama-hungry public. It immediately shot to the top of the global charts, generating millions of views and triggering an endless wave of online debate. The documentary did not merely focus on the recent criminal charges, or the federal indictment that landed Diddy behind bars. Instead, it took a massive step back, peeling away decades of carefully crafted public relations to examine the foundational root of the entire operation. The narrative pointed its analytical lens directly at Diddy's childhood, his upbringing in Harlem, and most controversial of all, the deep, overwhelming influence of his mother Janice Combs. This is where the scandal takes an extraordinarily bizarre and sensitive turn. It is one thing to go after a disgraced music mogul who is actively fighting legal battles in federal court. It is an entirely different game when you drag his mother into the spotlight and accuse her of being the secret architect behind the chaos. Inside the documentary, investigators and former associates dropped claims that left viewers utterly stunned. Industry insiders like Kirk Burroughs and childhood acquaintances spoke candidly about the environment Diddy grew up in during his formative years in Harlem. They alleged that the seeds of control, extreme ambition, and unrestrained lifestyle were planted long before Bad Boy Entertainment ever signed its first artist. They described a home environment where adult gatherings were common, where the boundaries between parental guidance and adult lifestyle were blurred, and where young Diddy learned early lessons in power, reputation, and dominance. Perhaps the most shocking assertion made within the series was the claim regarding the corporate structure of Bad Boy itself. The documentary suggested that following the tragic 1991 City College stampede, an event where 9 young people lost their lives at a celebrity basketball game organized by Diddy, a strategic decision was made to protect assets from massive legal liabilities and wrongful death lawsuits. Allegedly, key corporate assets and ownership rights were placed under the control and name of Janice Combs. The implication was clear and utterly explosive. The series painted a picture suggesting that Janice was not just a supportive mother sitting in the front row of fashion shows, but a central figure holding the financial keys to the empire while her son operated as the flamboyant face of the brand. For years, Janice Combs was viewed by the public as royalty in her own right. She was known for her glamorous appearance, her signature blonde hair, her high-end designer wardrobe, and her unwavering presence at her son's side during every major career milestone. Diddy frequently paraded his mother on social media, showing off their lavish vacations, luxury gifts, and deep personal bond. However, the documentary framed this extraordinarily close relationship through a deeply suspicious lens. Critics and commentators within the series analyzed old videos of the mother-son duo, pointing out instances where they received luxury hydration treatments together on the couch after massive parties, exchanged affectionate gestures that viewers deemed unusual, and displayed a level of codependency that raised eyebrows across the internet. Online sleuths quickly jumped on these details, filling comment sections with wild theories, intense psychological breakdowns, and heavy-handed analysis. The term Oedipus complex began trending on social media platforms as people dissected every old interview, red carpet appearance, and Instagram post involving Diddy and his mother. The sheer volume of speculative commentary created a virtual pressure cooker. 4 weeks after the documentary dropped, the internet was flooded with reaction videos, podcast deep dives, and viral breakdown clips. Everyone had an opinion, and almost all of it was overwhelmingly negative toward the Combs family name. While Diddy remained locked away in a federal facility, unable to hop on Instagram Live or host a press conference to defend his name, the burden of public defense fell squarely onto the shoulders of those on the outside. For a long time, the family stayed relatively quiet, relying on official statements from legal representatives who tried to keep the focus strictly on the courtroom proceedings. But as the allegations regarding Janice Combs began to take on a life of their own, the silence became completely unbearable for the matriarch of the family. Janice Combs realized that her silence was being interpreted by the public as a tacit admission of guilt. The narrative had spiraled far beyond basic music industry gossip. It had invaded her personal history, her reputation as a mother, and her integrity as a woman who had worked for decades to build a respectable standing in her community. The breaking point finally arrived when international media outlets began picking up the specific claims regarding her alleged involvement in past adult parties and the corporate asset shielding strategies. Janice decided that enough was enough. She was not going to sit back in the shadows while 50 Cent and Netflix dismantled her family's legacy piece by piece without putting up a fight. She prepared an official, highly detailed public statement aimed directly at setting the record straight. She wanted the world to know that the woman being portrayed in the docu-series was a completely fictional character created for the sole purpose of generating streaming numbers and satisfying a personal grudge. Her statement was delivered to major media outlets, marking the very first time she had officially broken her silence since the docu-series premiered and turned her world upside down. In her emotional yet stern response, Janice took direct aim at the producers, the anonymous sources, and the overall motivation behind the project. She vehemently denied every single allegation regarding her home life in Harlem, calling the claims regarding childhood party environments complete fabrications designed to shock and disgust the public. She maintained that she was a dedicated, hard-working single mother who made immense sacrifices to provide a safe, structured, and loving environment for her children after the tragic death of Diddy's father. She insisted that her past business ventures, including her modeling agency work, were completely legitimate operations that had been twisted by malicious individuals seeking 15 minutes of fame. Furthermore, Janice addressed the claims regarding her alleged role as the legal shield for Bad Boy Entertainment's assets. She stated that any assertion suggesting she actively helped conceal funds or manipulate corporate structures to avoid legal liabilities from tragic past events was defamatory, factually incorrect, and deeply offensive to the memory of those involved. She described the documentary as a shameful hit piece, arguing that Alexandria Stapleton and 50 Cent had deliberately selected bitter ex-employees, discredited former associates, and unverified rumors to construct a biased narrative. She expressed deep pain over how her bond with her son was being sexualized and weaponized by internet trolls, emphasizing that a loving, expressive relationship between a mother and her child should never be twisted into something sinister or unnatural. Janice made it abundantly clear that she still stood by her son 100%, declaring that despite his current legal battles, he was not the monster the media was painting him to be. She urged the public not to judge her family based on sensationalized entertainment projects designed for profit, but rather to wait for the actual legal process to unfold in a court of law where facts, not rumors, hold weight. The public release of Janice Combs' scathing statement sent immediate shockwaves through the entertainment industry, but if she believed her passionate defense would put an end to the controversy, she severely underestimated the nature of modern media. The moment her response hit the headlines, the internet exploded into an absolute frenzy of debate, hot takes, and relentless commentary. Instead of calming the waters, her statement acted like gasoline poured directly onto an already roaring fire. Critics, fans, and independent commentators immediately began dissecting every single word she released, analyzing her tone, her phrasing, and the specific claims she chose to address versus the ones she completely ignored. Social media platforms were instantly flooded with breakdown videos where creators matched Janice's public statement against specific clips from 50 Cent's documentary. Investigative content creators began pulling up old footage from the early days of Bad Boy Entertainment, hunting for any scrap of visual evidence that could either prove or disprove her claims. The public reaction was fiercely divided into two distinct camps. On one side, loyal supporters of the Combs family commended Janice for her bravery, arguing that a mother has every right to protect her child from a predatory media apparatus that profits off the destruction of Black icons. They argued that 50 Cent had crossed a sacred line by bringing an elderly mother into a public feud that should have remained strictly between two grown men. On the other side, an overwhelming majority of online spectators viewed her statement with extreme skepticism and suspicion. They pointed out that Janice failed to offer concrete, verifiable evidence to disprove the specific financial and corporate claims made in the series. Critics argued that issuing an emotional statement to the press was simply a classic public relations tactic designed to distract the public from the damning testimony provided by former insiders. Many observers noted that her choice of words felt carefully crafted by a high-powered crisis management firm, rather than coming from a place of genuine, spontaneous innocence. The online discourse quickly degraded into a chaotic battleground of theories, meme culture, and intense personal attacks against everyone involved in the situation. It was during this peak moment of public hysteria that 50 Cent did exactly what everyone expected him to do. He did not issue a formal, polished corporate apology, nor did he instruct his legal team to back down. Instead, he took to his personal social media accounts to deliver a series of cold, sarcastic, and completely relentless responses aimed directly at Janice's statement. 50 Cent posted a series of reaction clips, screenshots of news headlines, and classic mocking memes that instantly generated hundreds of thousands of likes and comments within minutes. He openly laughed at the idea that his documentary was a hit piece, sarcastically asking his followers why everyone always blames the messenger when the truth finally comes out to light. He pointedly reminded his audience that the testimonies featured in the series came directly from individuals who actually lived through the events, worked inside the company, and spent years in close proximity to the Combs family. In his trademark petty tone, 50 Cent suggested that if Janice was truly upset about the narrative, she should direct her anger toward her son's past actions rather than the filmmakers who simply documented the reality. He went even further by teasing that the material released in Season 1 was merely the tip of the iceberg, hinting that Season 2 of the project would delve even deeper into the hidden operational history of Bad Boy Entertainment. He boldly declared that no amount of public statements, emotional appeals, or legal threats would stop him from laying out the full, unfiltered truth for the world to see. While 50 Cent was busy dominating the social media headlines with his relentless trolling, a much more serious legal war was quietly erupting behind closed doors between Diddy's high-powered attorneys and the executive team at Netflix. Realizing that public relations statements were not slowing down the documentary's massive momentum, Diddy's defense team decided to take aggressive legal action to suppress the project. Attorneys representing Sean Combs officially drafted and served a scathing cease and desist demand directly to Netflix, demanding the immediate removal of the docuseries from the global streaming platform. The legal filing was filled with harsh language, alleging that the documentary contained severely defamatory content, unverified claims, and most dangerously, stolen private intellectual property. The central pillar of Diddy's legal argument revolved around a specific set of behind-the-scenes video footage featured prominently in the series. This footage showed private, highly intimate moments of Diddy inside a hotel room, frantically pacing back and forth while discussing complex legal strategies with his defense team just days prior to his federal arrest in New York. Diddy's lawyers claimed that this material was part of a private, highly confidential personal video archive that Diddy had been recording for over 30 years to document his personal life and career for a future authorized project. They argued that this private footage had been unlawfully obtained, leaked, and sold without Diddy's knowledge, permission, or legal consent. The legal team asserted that airing confidential conversations between Diddy and his legal representatives constituted a gross violation of attorney-client privilege and a direct breach of his constitutional rights to a fair trial. They warned Netflix that continuing to stream the series would result in massive, multi-million-dollar lawsuits for tortious interference, copyright infringement, and severe emotional distress. The threat of high-stakes litigation was designed to strike fear into the hearts of the corporate executives, but Netflix and the documentary team refused to flinch under the immense pressure. Instead of pulling the series down or issuing a quiet settlement, Netflix's legal department fired back with a remarkably confident and dismissive public response. Executive producer Alexandria Stapleton and the legal team at Netflix firmly maintained that all footage used throughout the documentary had been acquired through completely legal, legitimate, and fully vetted channels. They insisted that they held every necessary distribution right, license, and legal clearance required to broadcast the material to a global audience. Stapleton publicly defended the integrity of the project, stating that the documentary was not a personal attack or a malicious attempt to ruin a family, but rather a vital piece of investigative journalism that provided an essential platform for victims and witnesses whose voices had been suppressed for decades. She argued that Diddy's private video archives had entered the public domain through lawful acquisitions, and that the public interest in understanding the true scope of a major federal criminal case far outweighed any private claims to confidentiality. Netflix made it abundantly clear that they had zero intention of pulling the series down, effectively daring Diddy's legal team to bring the matter before a judge in open court. This dramatic legal stalemate exposed the incredible desperation occurring inside Diddy's inner circle as they struggled to maintain control over a narrative that was rapidly spinning out of their reach. With Diddy confined to a federal detention facility and facing severe restrictions on his ability to communicate with the outside world, his options for counter-messaging were severely limited. Every attempt to shut down the media coverage seemed to backfire, generating even more curiosity and driving millions of new viewers straight to the very documentary they were desperately trying to destroy. The public watched in awe as the once mighty bad boy machinery found itself completely outmaneuvered at every turn by the combined forces of 50 Cent's relentless trolling and Netflix's corporate legal armor. As the legal battle raged on in the press, independent investigators and digital sleuths began digging even deeper into the specific claims made about the financial history of Bad Boy Entertainment. The claims regarding Janice Combs holding the key corporate assets and acting as a legal shield took on a whole new life as researchers began analyzing public corporate registry filings, property deeds, and historical lawsuit documents from the early 1990s. A series of leaked internal documents and corporate organizational charts began circulating across online forums, sparking intense debate among financial analysts and legal experts. These documents allegedly showed intricate webs of shell companies, holding entities and trust structures established during the height of Bad Boy's commercial dominance. Industry commentators noted that using family members as primary officers or asset holders in entertainment companies is not an uncommon practice for high-net-worth individuals seeking to manage tax liabilities and protect personal wealth from potential civil litigation. However, in the context of Diddy's current legal nightmare, these routine corporate setups were viewed by the public through a far more sinister lens. The leaked information fueled widespread speculation that Diddy's vast financial empire was far more fragile and complex than anyone had previously imagined. Podcasts dedicated to analyzing celebrity business dealings spent hours breaking down the potential legal consequences for Janice Combs if federal prosecutors decided to scrutinize the historical flow of funds within these corporate entities. The growing public interest in these complex financial arrangements created an atmosphere of paranoia and uncertainty among former business partners, corporate sponsors, and high-profile celebrities who had previously maintained close financial ties to the Bad Boy brand. The paranoia and anxiety ripple through the entertainment industry set the stage for an even more desperate and unexpected retaliatory move from inside the Combs family camp. Realizing that traditional public relations statements were failing to turn the tide of public opinion, Diddy's children decided it was time to take matters into their own hands and launch an all-out media counteroffensive. In a move that caught the entire industry off guard, Diddy's sons, Justin and Christian King Combs, stepped directly into the spotlight to launch their very own counter-docuseries. They partnered with the Zeus Network, a platform known for its explosive, unscripted reality content, to deliver what they promised would be the definitive, unfiltered truth from the perspective of the family that actually lived it. The surprise announcement was accompanied by a polished, cinematic trailer that immediately went viral across every major social media platform. The teaser opened with tense, dramatic music as Justin and Christian sat together in a dimly lit screening room, quietly watching a barrage of negative media headlines and sensationalized news reports flashing across a massive projection screen. The atmosphere in the video was thick with emotion, pain, and quiet defiance. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the sharp, undeniable sound of a cell phone vibrating on a glass table. Justin picked up the phone, and the audio revealed the unmistakable automated operator voice announcing a prepaid collect call originating directly from the FCI Fort Dix Federal Correctional Institution, where Diddy was serving his prison sentence. The trailer dramatically cut to black just as Diddy's voice came over the line, leaving viewers with a chilling cliffhanger and the promise of an exclusive, inside look into the family's ongoing battle against what they termed an unprecedented media campaign. The strategic goal behind the Zeus Network project was crystal clear to every industry analyst watching from the sidelines. The Combs family was attempting to humanize Diddy, reframe the narrative around his legacy, and provide his children with a global platform to challenge the damaging claims made by 50 Cent and Netflix. They wanted to show the world the devoted father, the family patriarch, and the loving son, directly contrasting the dark, predatory figure painted in Sean Combs' The Reckoning. However, the public reaction to the Zeus Network trailer was far from the sympathetic embrace the family had likely anticipated. Instead of rallying behind the grief-stricken sons, a vast majority of the internet responded with intense cynicism, sharp humor, and outright hostility. Critics immediately questioned the timing and ethics of releasing a family-produced reality docuseries, while major legal proceedings and severe allegations remained unresolved. Commentators on social media pointed out the stark contrast between a high-production streaming show and the harsh reality of federal prison sentences. Many viewers openly accused the family of launching a desperate, transparent PR stunt designed to sanitize Diddy's image and monetize the ongoing tragedy for digital views. The backlash was further intensified by the public's lingering memory of the son's controversial behavior during their father's federal court appearances. Internet users recalled how both Christian and Justin had previously created chaos in the courtroom by wearing bright Free Sean Combs merchandise directly in front of the jury panel, an action that resulted in the presiding judge ordering them to be removed from the court premises. For many online observers, the upcoming Zeus Network project felt like a continuation of those same aggressive, ill-advised PR tactics that had repeatedly backfired in the past. To make matters even more intense, 50 Cent was watching the entire spectacle unfold in real time, and he did not miss the opportunity to turn the situation into another viral moment. Rather than ignoring the competition or expressing concern over the rival docuseries, 50 Cent immediately reposted the official Zeus Network trailer onto his own Instagram page. In a masterclass of psychological warfare and promotional trolling, he added a caption that read like a supportive fan, sarcastically declaring that he couldn't wait to watch the show while subtly warning that putting the family on camera was probably the worst strategic idea they had ever conceived. 50 Cent understood the media dynamics better than anyone else in the room. He knew that by highlighting the Zeus project, he was actively driving massive traffic back to his own Netflix series, forcing the public to constantly compare the two opposing narratives. He transformed what was supposed to be the Combs family's grand comeback into just another entertaining chapter of his ongoing crusade. As the media war reached an all-time high, the focus inevitably shifted toward the potential long-term legal and financial consequences for everyone involved in this massive saga. Legal experts began appearing on major network news outlets, breaking down the severe risks associated with both sides releasing unscripted, highly public content during an active legal crisis. Lawyers warned that the private details, statements, and archive footage released in 50 Cent's documentary could potentially be subpoenaed by federal prosecutors or civil litigants seeking to strengthen existing cases against the bad boy empire. Every clip, interview, and unverified claim broadcast to millions of viewers created potential evidence that could be picked apart in future courtroom proceedings. Conversely, legal analysts noted that the Combs family's decision to air their own docuseries on the Zeus Network carried extraordinary legal risks for Diddy himself. Any recorded prison phone calls, casual statements, or emotional admissions made by family members on camera could easily be weaponized by opposing legal teams to prove consciousness of guilt, financial irregularities, or attempts to improperly influence public perception. The intense scrutiny extended far beyond the legal realm, casting a dark, permanent shadow over the financial future of the Bad Boy Entertainment legacy. Corporate sponsors, longtime distribution partners, and high-profile music streaming platforms began quietly distancing themselves from the brand, fearful of being associated with the toxic cloud of controversy. The massive catalog of music that once defined an entire generation of hip-hop culture faced significant declines in radio airplay and commercial placement, as media conglomerates sought to avoid public backlash. What was once considered a multi-billion-dollar cultural movement had been reduced to a subject of intense investigative breakdowns, court battles, and viral internet memes. The fall from grace was complete, absolute, and painfully public, proving that no amount of past wealth, corporate power, or industry connections could protect an empire once the floodgates of public accountability were opened wide. The battle lines have now been drawn in permanent ink, with 50 Cent standing firmly on one side with a massive streaming platform behind him, and the Combs family fighting desperately on the other to preserve whatever remains of their name and history. As the world eagerly awaits the release of upcoming seasons and counter-documentaries, the story serves as a terrifying cautionary tale about the blinding power of fame, the destructive nature of unchecked influence, and the terrifying speed at which an empire can collapse when the truth finally catches up. The war between 50 Cent, Janice Combs, and the entire Bad Boy family is no longer just a simple feud between music icons. It has evolved into a massive, global cultural moment that has completely redefined how the public consumes celebrity scandal, legal drama, and investigative entertainment. Every statement released, every legal notice served, and every social media post dropped is carefully analyzed by millions of people across the globe who are hungry for the next shocking revelation. The silence that once protected the industry's deepest secrets has been shattered forever, and there is simply no turning back for anyone involved. What an absolute mind-blowing saga. We have witnessed an untouchable music empire completely crumble, deep family secrets exposed to the world, and a legendary media war that is far from over. From 50 Cent's relentless crusade on Netflix to Janice stepping out of the shadows for the very first time, the drama surrounding the bad boy legacy has reached an absolute point of no return. Now, I want to hear directly from you, the real investigators of the internet. Do you believe Janice is truly an innocent, fiercely protective mother just trying to defend her son? Or do you think she's frantically scrambling to shield deep-rooted family secrets? What about Diddy's sons launching their own docuseries on the Zeus network? Do you think hearing their side will actually help clean up the family name? Or is this just another desperate PR move that is bound to backfire? And what do you think 50 Cent is going to drop in Season 2? Drop your thoughts, wild theories, and hot takes in the comment section down below. Let's get a real debate going. If you enjoyed this deep dive, do not forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on all post notifications so you never miss another breaking, unfiltered pop culture breakdown. Thank you for watching, keep your eyes open, and I will see you all in the very next story.